I wasn't supposed to see my own file. That's the first thing you need to understand. Because if I hadn't opened it, everything would still make sense. It happened at work. A normal day. Nothing unusual. I work in a small administrative office. Nothing important. Just paperwork, records, documents. The kind of place where everything is organized, labeled, controlled. My name is Marcus. I'm 39, and I've been working there for 6 years. Same desk, same routine, same system. Until that day. It started with something simple. A missing file. Nothing major, just one document that wasn't where it was supposed to be. It happens sometimes. People misplace things, move them, forget. So I went looking for it. Checked the usual places. Nothing. Then I checked the archive system. Every file in our office is logged, indexed, tracked. Nothing gets lost. At least, that's what we're told. I typed the file number, pressed search, and something came up. But it wasn't the file I was looking for. It was something else. A folder with my name on it. Not similar, not partial. My full name, exactly. I stared at the screen, because that didn't make sense. Employees don't have files. Not like that. Not in that system. That system is for clients, external records, not internal, not personal. I should have ignored it, closed it, moved on. But I didn't, because once you see something like that, you need to know. I clicked it. The folder opened instantly, and the first thing I saw was my photo. Not a work photo, not an ID, a candid one. Me sitting at my desk, taken from a distance, like I didn't know it was being taken. My chest tightened, because I didn't remember that. Not the moment, not the photo. And yet, there it was, stored, filed, organized, like it belonged there. I scrolled. More images, different days, different angles, all of me, working, walking, sitting, living. None of them staged, all of them observed. My hands started to shake, because this wasn't normal. This wasn't part of any system I knew. And then I saw the notes, text entries, detailed, structured. Subject shows consistent compliance, routine unchanged, response patterns stable. I froze, because that word, subject, was about me. I kept reading, even though I didn't want to. Minimal deviation, predictable decision-making, environment control, effective. Environment control. That phrase didn't belong there. Not in a file about a person, unless that person wasn't being observed, but managed. I leaned back slowly, trying to process it, because there are only two explanations. Either this is a mistake, or everything I thought was real isn't. I heard footsteps behind me. I quickly minimized the screen. Turned slightly. It was my supervisor. Daniel, everything okay? He asked. Normal tone, normal expression. Everything normal. But now, nothing felt normal. Yeah, I said. Another lie. He nodded, walked away, and the moment he did, I opened the file again, because I couldn't stop. Because now I needed to know how deep this went. I scrolled further. More notes, more observations, and then a section labeled Intervention History. My chest tightened, because that meant this wasn't passive. This wasn't just watching. This was action. I clicked it. The first entry, adjusted schedule, minor. No detection. I stopped breathing.
because I remembered something. A day I came in earlier than usual, not by choice. Something had changed. I didn't question it at the time, but now it wasn't random. It was planned. The next entry: social interaction redirected, subject accepted alternative. That hit harder, because I remembered that too. A canceled meeting, a sudden change, a different outcome. I thought it was coincidence. It wasn't. Nothing was. I kept scrolling, and with every line, something inside me broke, because this wasn't my life. It was something else, something structured, controlled, and I had never noticed until now. And that's when I saw the last entry, today's date, one line, subject accessed file. My heart stopped, because that meant one thing. They knew, right now, as I was reading it. I slowly looked up, at the office, at the people, at everything, and for the first time, I wasn't seeing coworkers. I was seeing observers, and suddenly, I didn't know who I could trust, or if any of this was ever real. And that's when my screen changed. On its own, the file closed, replaced by a single message, centered, clean, cold. Please remain seated. Please remain seated. The message stayed on the screen. No blinking, no cursor, just there, clean, final. My hands were still on the keyboard, frozen, because something inside me understood this wasn't a suggestion. I slowly leaned back in my chair, tried not to react, but my heart was beating too fast. I looked around the office. Everything looked the same. People working, typing, talking quietly, normal. But now, I couldn't see it that way anymore.
Because I knew. Or at least, I knew enough. And once you cross that line, there's no going back. I glanced at the screen again. The message hadn't changed, but something else had. At the bottom, a small line appeared, typing, slowly, like someone was writing in real time. Do not draw attention. My throat tightened, because that meant they were watching. Not later, not reviewing, now. In this moment, I lowered my hands, carefully, like any sudden movement might matter, might trigger something. I looked at my desk, at the objects, the papers, the monitor. Everything felt staged, like it wasn't mine, like it had been placed there. For me, the screen changed again. Another line. You've already seen more than expected. My chest tightened, because that wasn't neutral. That was evaluation. Then, stay calm. I almost laughed, because nothing about this was calm. But I didn't, because I understood something now. Every reaction was part of it. Every movement, every decision, observed, measured, logged. I forced myself to breathe slowly, to act like nothing was wrong, even though everything was. And then something happened. Across the room, one of my coworkers stood up, walked toward the printer. Normal, routine, but something about it felt different, too precise, too timed, like it wasn't random, like it was part of something. I looked at my screen again. New message. Observe. That word hit differently, because suddenly I wasn't just being watched. I was being directed. I looked back at my coworker, watched him, the way he moved, the way he paused, the way he reached for the paper. And then I saw it. A hesitation, a microsecond delay, almost invisible, but not natural, not human, like he was waiting for something or responding to something. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about me. This was everything, everyone, the entire environment, controlled, adjusted, maintained. And I was just one part of it, a subject, a variable. And now, an error. The screen changed again. Stand up. I froze, because that was new. That wasn't passive. That was direct. I didn't move. I couldn't. Stand up. Again. Same words, but heavier this time, like a command. I looked around. No one was looking at me. No one reacting. But I knew. That didn't mean anything, because they didn't need to look. They already saw everything. I slowly stood up, not because I wanted to, because I needed to understand. If I was still in control, or if that had already been taken, nothing happened. No alarms, no reactions, just silence. The screen updated. Good. That word felt wrong. Too simple. Too satisfied. I felt something shift inside me, because now this wasn't just observation. This was conditioning, and I had just followed it without resistance, without thinking. That realization was worse than anything else, because it meant I was exactly what they described. Predictable. I looked at the screen, then at the office, then back at the screen. And for the first time, I did something different. I didn't wait. I didn't follow. I moved, fast, grabbed my jacket, turned toward the exit. Behind me, I heard a chair move, then another. But I didn't look back, because I already knew. They weren't reacting randomly. They were adjusting. To me, I pushed the door open, stepped outside. Cold air hit my face. Sharp. Real. Different. For a second, everything felt quiet. Normal. Free. I took a breath. And then, my phone buzzed. I froze. Slowly, I pulled it out. One notification. No number. No name. Just a message. You left your environment. My chest tightened, because that meant it didn't end at the office. It followed me, or maybe it was always there. Another message appeared. Response deviation detected. I looked around. The street. People walking. Cars passing. Everything looked normal, but now I couldn't trust that, because I knew what normal meant. It meant controlled. The phone buzzed again. Return to baseline. That phrase felt familiar, like I had followed it before, without knowing, without questioning. And that's when I realized something I wish I hadn't. I had never made a real decision. Not once. Everything had been guided, adjusted, directed, until now. And this
This moment was different because this time I stepped out, and they didn't know what I would do next. The screen stayed still. No new messages, no instructions, just silence. And for the first time, that silence felt real, not controlled, not designed, just unknown. I looked ahead, at the street, at everything, and I understood something clearly. This wasn't over. It wouldn't stop, because I was still part of it, just no longer following. And maybe that was the first real choice I had ever made. Or maybe it was just the first time I noticed.